Hey, what's up? It's John with Be Superfly. I hope you're doing well. I was on Webflow's site the other day. I know, the competition. But I saw this here, this cool little blur effect that they have on these background images. And I was like, man, that's really cool. I wonder how they're doing that. And come to find out, it's just a little bit of CSS. And so I made a test page here that you can see has the backgrounds being blurred here. And it even works on parallax images here. As you can see, there's some blur kicking in there at the bottom here. So I'm going to teach you how to get this effect rolling. And let's hop over to my page here. Okay, so I already have the CSS built in here. I'm just going to copy it real quick and get rid of it. And watch these images. They're all going to clean up. So let me show the kind of the setup I have going here. So I have a 3-column deal here, and then each one has a background image. And then I'm using this gradient here to help out on the legibility of the text at the bottom. So here, you'll see here, I can increase this or I can get rid of it. Now you really can see the blur effect there. And then these are just, these other rows here, I just basically copied this row and then went in and removed a column and had my 2 columns there. Cool. And then here's the CSS here, and I'll go over it so that I know what's going on. And so this first, let me bring this down a little bit here. Here we go. This is great. Boom. So this first block here, this is targeting the column, and on this page, all I have this effect on are columns here. These are all columns here. But I was messing around with this on Divi 5, and you can see here at the top, I had this main one here is a blur effect on this image, and this is in Divi 5, and these ones have it here at the bottom. So let me inspect this one real quick. So yeah, you can see that now. That one doesn't have it anymore. So this can work on sections too. So this first CSS here is solving it or doing the effect on a column, and then this section here of code is what you want if you want to apply this to a section background. And then this last piece just makes sure that the content sits above the blur. So I'll go over this first one first. So what we're saying is, hey, go into any section that has the class blur column. And so if I look at this section here, I've added a class of blur column. And then go to the column there. Go to the column. Every Divi column has this class assigned to it. And let's add a before pseudo element. And then this comma is saying, hey, so that's this first rule. Go to a regular column and let's add a pseudo element. The second one's saying, hey, if my blur column has a parallax background, let's make the pseudo element. Let's do this for parallax backgrounds too. And then this basically is creating a layer that is going to be 60% of the height of your column, which I'll show here in a second. And then we're going to have this backdrop filter blur at 7 pixels, and we're going to mask it with a gradient starting at the top, being transparent, and then going fully opaque at the bottom, and then there's this optional background color. So let's flip over here and kind of mess around with those values to see what happens. So I'm just going to right click here, inspect element, and I'm going to pull this up. So here's my section right here. It's got that blur column. Let me make this a little bigger so it's kind of easier to see. It's got that blur column class. Here's my row, and then here's my columns, my 3 columns. Let's focus on this first column here. If I open this up, here's that before pseudo element that we're making right here, this guy right here. and you can see height 60%. Let me go in here and change the mask here. If I take that mask off, now you can see there's the blur, and if I take off this background color too, so there's the blur, and this could be a cool effect too, like a shelf effect almost. You know, that's kind of cool too. So you could use it in this way. But you can see it's 60% of the height here. If I change this height from 60% to 100%, now my entire deal is covered. Let me turn this mask back on. That's what's, you know, and even if I go in this mask and say this first one, let's add in some opacity here. Now you can see the lines kind of showing up. If I go all the way over, it's all the way there. So you can mess around with those values and plug those in. And you know, 7 pixel blur. What about 4? What about a 40 pixel blur? You know, then you know, it's really getting blurry at that point versus a 4 pixel blur, not as bad. So you can kind of do that to taste. On the Webflow site, they use 10. They use 10 pixel, a 10 pixel blur. I think it's a little bit too much for my taste. It seems a little too drastic. But yeah, so let me go ahead and refresh this page. Cool. And yeah, you can see here it's happening on this parallax image as well. If I go in and I inspect this parallax image, and I turn off the mask, you can see that's happening there. But if I turn off the blur, you'll see just how much it's doing it. So it's a nice subtle effect that I think is pretty cool. Okay, so all you have to do if you want to use this effect is you have to add this code to your CSS. So normally that'd be in theme options. I don't want this row here now. Let me get rid of that and save this. And I'll hop over to theme options to show you where you would put it. So just here in Divi theme options, you put some CSS here if you want. I'm just using it on this page, so I actually have it in here. I wouldn't recommend this. I'd put it in theme options. That way you can use it on any page that you want. And then all you have to do for any section, like, you know, for example, let me copy this whole section. There we go. So maybe this top section, I want the blur stuff happening. But in the bottom here, maybe I don't. Well, all I got to do is just remove this, and it's gone. And now you can kind of see what difference it makes, you know, especially here. Like, that's super hard to read, right? But up here, man, it's kind of cool. So that's the tutorial. And then if you did have you know, if I can also apply it here. Let me go over that second block of code. So this first block of code was if you want to use it on columns like we just did. If you want to use it on a section, you just add this blur section class to your section. So here I go. This might be kind of hard to see because this image is kind of already blurred, but let's add it anyway. Blur section. Yeah, you can see there what it did. Let me take it off. So you can see it kind of darkened it and blurred it a little bit. So it can be used on a section as well. And then that last bit, let me go in here and show you that last bit. That last bit, we're just setting the Z index to 10. If I take this off, you'll see that now my content sits underneath the blur, which is probably not what you want. So we want to make sure we have that last line in here, this guy down here, makes content sit above blur. All right, so that's how you add it. Yeah, I just think they pulled it off really well here. Again, a little much, but I think it looks really nice here, and it's such a nice subtle thing to have. So hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out our other plugins like Background Plus. You can have this cool animated background here with some colors. We got a bunch of different presets for that. You can have a color overlay for your video background, which isn't currently possible in Divi. And then check out our Superfly button. Easily put buttons side by side, make gradient buttons, or have buttons with a subtitle in there and have your icon hanging out all the way right over here. It just looks better in my opinion. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this tutorial. All right, y'all. Cheers.